1-0.
Hashtag no more days off. Greetings, fellow barbarians. It is I, Alan Odinson. You are listening to the Barbarian Lounge podcast. I want to thank you guys for joining me today. I think we got a pretty interesting topic, something that I've posted numerous times on my various pages, and it's gotten a lot of response, and I want to talk about that topic a little more. But let's get a few things out of the way to start with. First, if you have not subscribed to our webpage on Podbean, please do so. That is thebarbarianlounge.podbean.com. You can subscribe there. You get all the episodes as soon as they come out. Also, follow us on Facebook, The Barbarian Lounge Podcast on Facebook. Go there, give us a like. You can keep track of everything we're doing, pictures, articles, all kind of random things that we put up on the page there, so give that page a like. Also, the Barbarian Lounge is now on UCY TV. Yes, that's right, a network had the nerve to pick this show up. Can you believe that? So yeah, the Barbarian Lounge. Go to UCY TV and check out the Barbarian Lounge. They're going to be replaying some of our past shows, so you can catch some of the ones you've missed on. Some of them are a little edited down, but you can always catch the full show right here on the Podbean website. And UCY is, I think it's our show. Our show is scheduled to air on Tuesdays between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. That's right, the Barbarian Lounge is prime time, baby. So tune in to that show. There's a chat forum that's open as that show is going on. You get on there and interact with people. That will be fantastic. A lot of good things going on with UCY TV, so please check them out. Also, our sponsor for today is good old Odinson Archery. Yes, shameless plug, I do not mind. OdinsonArchery.com. Traditional bows made from non-traditional products. Yes, we make some of the highest quality archery equipment you can get, as well as bows. The admission to the Brotherhood of the Bow has never been more affordable than it is with Odinson Archery. So please check out OdinsonArchery.com and get your archery stuff today. If you've ever been interested in trying out archery, getting in touch with those primitive skills that all of us have lying dormant inside our bodies, check out OdinsonArchery.com. So, hashtag no more days off. Where did this idea come from? When I first heard this term, now I don't know if he coined it, but I like to give credit where credit is due. When I first heard this term is from my boy at Tactical Response, Mr. James Yeager himself. James Yeager coined this term, at least to my knowledge, coined it right after a lot of the active shooter things happened. He was saying no more days off, meaning that there's no more days that you cannot be prepared to defend yourself, defend your family, defend others, and employ violence if need be. It's the first time I heard it. If James wasn't the first guy that said it. I know a lot of people don't like James, whatever, fuck them, it doesn't matter. I'm not here to talk about James, but I think James is an awesome dude, though. I'll throw that out there. So, either way, that's the first time I heard it. So the concept of no more days off. That means you have to be in this mode of maintaining your mindset on a day in, day out basis, maintaining your training, maintaining the ability to be armed and stay deadly. That is vital in today's world. As I'm doing this show right now, I don't know when you'll hear this, but as I'm doing this show, just the other day, there was another terrorist attack, this time in, I believe it was at the Istanbul airport. I think 50 were reported dead, 140 wounded, and they're naturally suspecting that it was the NRA that did it. I'm just kidding. The NRA didn't do it. It was ISIS. Yes, it was ISIS. The same with everything else. The same thing that happened in Orlando. All these things. Yes, it's ISIS. Say it. Say it. Islamic terrorist. Say it right now. Say it. Let me hear you say it. Islamic terrorist. Yes, they don't want to say that word, but facts are facts. But this concept of no more days off does not just apply to issues with Islamic terrorists. You should never have the mindset of having a day off and protecting yourself and protecting your family. In many instances, as I've talked about before, the police are not designed to stop a threat as it is occurring. The police are designed to usually show up after it's already started. So you are your own first responder. And there's a lot of things that if you have this mindset of no more days off, even if you're not talking about employing violence, even if you're not talking about having to stop a threat through any sort of physical violent means, that could even apply to the medical training you've had. Have your medical training, have your medical gear. All these things apply to this concept of no more days off. But we're going to talk about some different methods. Basically, it's 5 different things that I've coined as how to have no more days off. It's 5 different things, and we're going to try and tackle those in this show. First one, the very first thing that is on the list, number 1, now these aren't in order of importance, but number 1 is to arm yourself. Arm yourself. Arm yourself. Carry your fucking gun. Carry your fucking knife. All of these things are important. Some places you can't carry guns. You can carry a blade, though. But carry your gun. It's not going to do you any good. I cannot tell you how many concealed weapons permit classes I have done and had people, I talk to them later, and they don't even carry their gun. Why the hell are you even getting the permit if you're not going to carry your gun? Carry your gun. I'm not a fan of open carry. I think you lose the tactical advantage when you open carry. But if open carry is the only thing that is available to you in your state where you're at, carry your gun. I cannot stress this enough. You need to have that firearm with you. If it's not with you, you cannot use it to protect yourself, protect other people, and possibly stop a threat. I talked to, when the whole incident happened in Orlando, I was listening to people say, I told numerous people, I said, if there had just been some armed people in there, maybe things could have changed. And of course they naturally throw out the defeatist attitude of, well, he had a rifle and he was shooting here and there were people running everywhere and what would have happened? Listen, it's real simple. One gun is a massacre. When he walked in there, he had his rifle, and there were no other guns in that building. That's how massacres happen. That's how active shooters happen. You think it's an accident that these people choose gun-free zones? Come on. I've talked a little bit about criminal culture on here, and criminals are not stupid. Terrorists are not stupid. They know exactly what they're doing. These are targets of opportunity. They're soft targets. It's the low-hanging fruit. It's why in the wild it's easier to kill a squirrel than it is to kill a mountain lion. There's a lot less threat in the squirrel. It's not armed with any weapons, except maybe rabies, but whatever. So this is the reason they choose these targets. One gun is a massacre. But as soon as a second gun is introduced into the equation on the opposite end, that one armed citizen pulls out his firearm and he draws down on that guy. Now it's become a gunfight. You may lose that gunfight. That's possible, and we'll talk about that later. But the fact is, you've changed the dynamic of the event as it's happening. See, most of these guys aren't exactly keen on, they may say they're willing to die, and, they may be in the grand scheme of things, but as soon as rounds start going their way, guess what? That law of self-preservation that is hardwired into their brain will kick in. And that may give wings to other people to do something. They may tackle the gunman. Who knows? But introducing another firearm into the game changes the dynamic of the fight. If there's more than one person armed in there, guess what? The odds just tipped in your favor. Thank the gods, somebody else was armed. So you have to keep this idea of staying armed. You have to have your gun. If you can carry a gun, damn it, carry your gun. It's very simple. You're even in the playing field. They're expecting a soft target. And I'll tell you right off the bat, places with signs up that say no concealed weapons allowed. Well, okay. The sign said no concealed weapons allowed, so I guess I should leave my gun in the car. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So, you want to even that playing field. Another thing is you need to carry sufficient firepower. When I say carry sufficient firepower, I'm talking about a full-size gun that you can fight with. Well, I can fight with a 6-round revolver, a 5-shot revolver. You can, and you may. What if there's more than one threat? How fast can you reload that? What if the person's wearing body armor? What if they're armed with a rifle? I can throw out all these what ifs. You may just pull your revolver and walk up behind them and cap them in the head and it's over with. And if that's the case, congratulations. You did exactly what needed to be done. But the odds of ending the fight with one shot is not guaranteed to you. You need to have sufficient firepower. You need to have a firearm that you can make long-range shots with. Yes, I know that statistically most shots occur at very close range, within that 3-foot area. We've heard all the statistics. But the thing is nature does not care about statistics. Nature and natural law has not read that book on statistics. So what happens, I always use this phrase of, what if you're in Walmart and there's an active shooter in there and you're at one end of the aisle and he's at the other end of the aisle? Can you take that shot? That's a pretty long way. That's some of the aisles. I think we walked one of the aisles off here at one of these super Walmarts, and it was roughly about 50 yards. Can you make a 50-yard shot? What if he's wearing body armor? Can you still make a 50-yard shot under stress? So all these things come into play. Do you have a firearm that is capable of doing that? Can you stop the threat if need be? These are all questions you have to ask yourself. And if you can answer that immediately by having sufficient firepower, then that's the way you need to go. You need to be ready to have, you don't need any question about whether or not you have enough ammunition to get the job done and enough firepower to get it done. That doesn't mean carry a big honking gun with a ridiculous 10 millimeter whatever. Yes, I know the 10 millimeter guys and the 40 guys are freaking out right now. They're like, oh my God, he's talking about 40 calibers. He's talking about 10 millimeter. No, if you can do with that, guess what? Great, fantastic. That's all you got. Please use it. If all you got's a 5-shot revolver, use it. It's better than having nothing. But what I'm telling you is you need sufficient ammunition. You need sufficient firepower to end that threat if need be. You need to understand how to use that weapon. Another thing, carry a backup gun. The only thing better than one gun is 2 guns. And no, I'm not telling you to whip them out guns akimbo and start blazing like you're in some John Woo film. No, I'm not telling you that. But a backup gun is a very viable thing that you may need. Me, on my everyday carry, people freak out. They're like, there's no way you carry that every day. Yeah, I do. My wife, it takes me longer to get ready than it does my wife. And I can throw my clothes on in about 2 minutes. Everything else is just packing gear on. But I don't mind that because I'm ready for the fight every single day. But a backup gun, why carry a backup gun? Odds are, and if you've done any force-on-force training, you'll find this will start happening. Things start happening like you get shot in the hands, especially if you think most people are trained to use that isosceles stance where they're locked out, arms straight out in front of them. Well, if the other person is shooting directly at your chest, what are the odds of your hands or your arms or your shoulders or anything like that getting hit? It's pretty high. The odds of your gun getting hit is pretty high. Even when I've done force-on-force training with fucking bows and arrows, people get shot in the arms and the hands because that's presented out in front of you. So if you're shooting and bang, you get hit in the hand, you drop that gun, you're going to reach down in the middle of the fight, or you're going to pull out a secondary gun and start shooting. What if your gun got hit? What if your gun got hit and it's no longer operable? You need to be able to get another gun into play. So a backup gun is vital. Another great thing about a backup gun is you have the ability to arm someone else. If one of your friends, one of your brothers that's with you is not armed, guess what? Shit goes down, you can pull out your backup and say, here, brother, cover me. And now there's 2 guns in the fight. So these are things people don't really consider. And some guys carry 3 guns, some guys carry 4 guns. Yes, that's right, some guys carry 4 guns. And, you know, you'd never know it watching these guys carry all this shit. So carry a backup gun of some sort. Carry sufficient ammunition. Make sure you have enough ammunition on your belt, whether that be in the form of magazines, or whether it be in the form of guns with magazines in them. Some guys that carry 4 guns, guess what? They got 4 reloads, especially if they keep an extra mag for their primary. Well, guess what? They got 5 reloads on them. So carry sufficient ammunition. I like to carry a sling bag that actually has an ass ton of ammunition and medical gear in it. It's a very small bag, very inconspicuous. It doesn't look tactical or anything. I can just throw it over my shoulder. Just looks like I'm some sort of trendy walking around, even though I don't really fit that role very well. Another thing with being armed, carry a knife. Carry a knife of some sort. Let me take a sip of Mitacon before I get started here. Oh yeah, it's time to get going. Carry a knife. A lot of guys just carry a knife and it's just something that they cut boxes with or whatever. But I'm talking about a fighting knife. The same way as I tell you to carry a pistol you can fight with, carry a blade you can fight with. The only thing better than carrying a blade you can fight with is carrying multiple blades that you can fight with. And of course, the guys right now that are hearing this, that believe that they strap a gun to themselves and magically they have this force field around that prevents them from getting hurt with a knife. They're saying right now, well, you never bring a knife to a gunfight. Well, yeah, you can go with that cliche bullshit all you want to, but you also don't bring a pistol to a sniper fight, a long gun fight. You don't bring a pistol to a turkey shoot, or you don't bring a pistol dove hunting. You can throw all this cliche bullshit. Drop your cliche bullshit and think for a minute. Until you can get that handgun out of your holster, on target, put rounds on target, and drop the threat, it's still a knife fight. The same thing goes for the asshole who's doing some sort of active shooter, some type of ISIS fucking asshole. If these guys are attacking something, guess what? They have to reload. And when they reload, you fucking pull your blade and you stick it in them until no more blood is coming out of them. It's plain and simple. If you've been around guys in the blade arts, blade guys are very crafty in their mindset. So you have to get this idea of having a good fighting knife. My knives, man, the knives I have on me, people know not to say, hey, let me borrow your knife, because the first thing out of my mouth is, what are you going to use it for? My knives are just the handguns I carry. They're for protection. My knives are the same way. They're only made to cut meat in whatever form it may come in. So you need to have a good knife, a good blade, a good solid blade that you're not going to have to worry about it's going to break, something that's going to hold an edge. If you pay the same as if you buy a gun for $100, you got $100 worth of protection. Is your life and your family's lives only worth $100? No. You know it's not. If it is, well, good for you, pal. The same goes with your knife. If you buy a $5 knife, granted you can use a $5 knife to kill with. People do it all the time. We're talking about a fighting blade, good solid fighting blade. You get what you pay for. Now, at the same time, I'm not one of these guys that pays over for a knife that I carry on my person. I'm not the kind of guy that pays over like $100 for a blade. There's high quality stuff. I know a lot of people don't like the owner and all that, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about quality. And I am a Cold Steel man through and through. Cold Steel makes sharp knives, quality knives. They're solid blades, plain and simple. And you can get most good Cold Steel blades, good carry blades, for under $100. Most of them you can get for even under $50. And the thing is, and this is why I suggest this. If for some reason you have to use your blade, you're going to get arrested. Even if you're justified, that blade is going to be confiscated. Most of my law enforcement friends I have, they'll tell you, you're probably not going to get that blade back. So, the idea is, if I'm not going to get that blade back, it's a lot easier to replace a blade that is only, you know, $30-$50. Much easier to replace that than it is my $300 to $500 custom blade that I'm carrying on my person. So there's a mindset that goes behind that. As far as a lot of people carry folding blades, I do carry a folding blade also, but my primary blades that I have on me, and also while I carry several guns, I also carry several blades, my primary go-to blades are my fixed blade knives. And the reason is I don't care what kind of gimmick you have on your folding knife, it is not as sturdy, it is not as quick to get to, and it will not get into action as fast as a fixed blade knife. It just will not. I don't care what you tell me, I don't care what gimmicky thing you show me, a fixed blade knife will always outrun a folding blade. Plain and simple. So number two, get trained. Yes, if you're going to carry this shit, know how to use it. A lot of people will say to themselves, especially in the gun world, I hear this all the time in the gun world, they say, well, you know, I'm trained. It's like, really? Oh, what kind of training do you do? Well, I go to the range, and, you know, we shoot at the range all the time. I'm always going shooting. I'm like, well, that's not training. That's called practice. Training is actually taking a class and learning to do things in a certain methodology, learning to do things in many cases correctly. So there's a vast difference between training and practice. So when I say get training, I mean go out and seek a qualified instructor to help you. Most people have this idea that it's going to look like it does on the range. And if you've ever been to any firearms training classes, you'll find that things get very different. Plus, you're in a setting with other people. There's this tad bit of stress. And if you have a good instructor and he puts that stress on you, well, now they're going to start to simulate those same things that you find yourself running into in whatever violent situation you may encounter. A lot of people have this assumption that when things go down, they're going to rise to the occasion. They're automatically going to become John Wick, and they're going to be doing kung fu and bah, bah, all this. You're not going to do that. What's going to happen is you're going to fall to your lowest level. But there's an added bit to that lowest level. You're not going to rise to the occasion. You're going to fall to your lowest level of mastery. We see this especially in the martial arts world. You see guys that they may have something they've worked on. They're really, really good at it. But as soon as things get bad and they start falling, they don't fall to their lowest level. They fall to their lowest level of mastery. Whatever art they started out in, when you saw Ronda Rousey fight Holly Holm, Ronda thought she was a striker until she started getting lit up. And before you knew it, as the fight was progressing, she became a flailing judoka trying to grab grips on a gi. And you saw her just flinging her arms around and just charging like a bull, and she was getting matador the whole time because Ronda was falling to her lowest level of mastery, which was judo. So there's plenty of classes out there too, man. There's so many good schools out there where you can receive phenomenal training. There's a local school here, one of my good friends who I highly recommend. The very first firearm class I ever took was with him. It's my boy Steve Cooper at Paladin Training. That's right here in South Carolina. Steve's a phenomenal instructor, runs a lot of different classes, has a lot of experience. I highly recommend Steve Cooper of Paladin Training. Also, it would be wrong of me not to mention Tactical Response. There's a lot of very good instructors at Tactical Response. There, they have phenomenal classes. Their fighting pistol classes, highly recommended. Also, there's places like you've got Gunsight. Gunsight's out there. Reed Heinrich of Valor Ridge in Tennessee. Reed's a phenomenal instructor, very good teacher. I highly recommend him. You have Larry Vicker. There's so many guys out there. Travis Haley, Chris Costa, even though people like to make fun of their tactical stuff. Another thing, Tim Kennedy. Tim Kennedy with Sheepdog Response. MMA fighter Tim Kennedy runs Sheepdog Response. Another highly recommended class. So all this training is out there. It's available. The training that your average civilian can get, yes, it's going to cost you money, but the training you can get as a civilian these days far exceeds most military training you're going to find. People think the military's got this high level of training. In some cases, yes, it is, but the level that civilians can get to is very, very high. You can get better training than a lot of the military organizations out there. It's available. And people say, well, man, it's too expensive. It's $400, $500 for a class. Save up a little bit and save up a little bit out of your check, put it in a little savings account, and take at least one class every year. One class every year. Who knows? You may end up saving enough money to take 2 classes a year. And you're getting ahead of the curve. You're staying in the game. With your blade training, there's tons of good blade training groups out there too. It's more than just grabbing a blade and stabbing. I can't tell you how many times I've asked people. I see them with a knife and I say, tell me something. If you had to use that knife to protect yourself, what would you do? And they look at me starry-eyed and they go, I don't know. In most cases, you're going to go to your caveman monkey brain and you're going to do mostly forehand stabs, body, middle, neck. It's going to be pretty simple like that. And then you'll probably go to forehand caveman clubbing motions with it, trying to slash. There's a lot of specialized knife programs that are out there. You have groups like SIOC, who's really taken it and broken it down. You've got Libre. Knife fighting is kind of new to the game, but you got, man, they are doing some really groundbreaking stuff in their programs. I highly recommend them with Scott Babb and Ed Calderon. If you can get in touch with them to do their black box module, that is highly recommended also. There's so many schools out there, but learn to use your knife in an effective manner. One of the things you can do right off the bat is start learning anatomy. Half the knife game is learning anatomy, knowing where to cut, where to stab, how to sever a tendon so a limb cannot be used anymore. Different types of cuts, slashes, pressure cuts, all these things. So there's so many different things you can learn. There's a lot more to it than just stabbing. And these things are available. If anything, use YouTube. We live in the information age, the Star Trek age, and what are people doing? You can grab your phone right now and find any information in the world. It's right there in the palm of your hand. What are people doing? They're posting fucking cat memes or some shit like that, or talking about what they had for dinner. No! The information is out there. Learn it. Embrace it. Empty hand skills. Right now, there's tons of martial arts schools in your area. And if you listen to my episode on martial mastery, we talk about what you need to select when you're trying to talk about some sort of whatever system it is that you want to do. You need to specify it to what your goals are. There's a lot of stuff out there. I would recommend learning, if the art you're training is not doing any groundwork, you need to learn about groundwork. Even though I say going to the ground in a street situation is not very wise, if you do end up there, you need to know how to either defend yourself there or get back up to your feet. So if you go to a jiu-jitsu school and all they do is walk around their knees like a bunch of fucking crabs, you need to find a new school. Plain and simple. If you drive by there and you see the window and all you see are the tops of people's heads, no, keep driving. Don't go there. You need to be working takedowns. You need to be working throws because you got to get the fight there somewhere. Don't be one of these guys that run up and just grab a gi and jump and pull guard like a fucking whore on Saturday night. But there's a lot of different ways. You got to watch some of these bullshit artists that are out there and all this. You need to be very mindful of how you train and what you're planning on training. Don't become Joe Generic MMA fighter where it's like, okay, if I learn Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu, that's going to put you ahead of the game of most people, but you have to understand, especially if you're talking about street altercations, weapons are going to be involved. It's just going to happen. And you run up and clinch somebody and you're like, I'm going to do a trip takedown and pass the guard and get in the mount, punch them in the face so they flip over, rear neck and choke them. Well, as soon as the blade comes out, what's the Jiu-Jitsu move for that? Yeah, there probably are some, but I've seen them. I've trained jiu-jitsu, and most of them will get you killed. So, but there's a lot of different methods you can use. I would say make whatever your goals are, you need to specify those to whatever you choose. A famous quote from the guy whose T-shirt we have right now, which I didn't push. The new T-shirt, we got the Miyamoto Musashi Victory T-shirt, where he talks about, I will actually talk about that quote at the end of this episode, but here's the Musashi quote from his book of Five Rings, one of the best books on strategy and martial arts in general that are out there. He says, you must understand that there's more than one way to the top of the mountain. And as that relates to martial arts, that is absolutely true. There are many different ways to get to the top of the mountain. There's not a wrong way, there's not a right way. There are incorrect teachers along the path, but if you have a discerning eye, you can fish these people out. There's a lot of bullshit artists out there looking to make money off of you. If you have a discerning eye and know what you want, you'll be able to sniff these people out pretty quickly. But get that training. You need to have the training in empty hand. You need to have the training in blades. You need to have the training in guns. It's very attainable. Don't say to yourself, oh, I can't do that. I'm too old. No, that's bullshit. That's a defeatist attitude. It doesn't matter if you're going in there with a bunch of children who are white belts in jiu-jitsu. You need to be there. You need to learn how to employ violence in whatever means necessary. A lot of these gun guys get into this habit of thinking, well, it's like, well, I don't need to learn that. I carry a gun. That's bullshit, too. That is absolute bullshit, because the same as with a blade, until you get that gun out, you put rounds on me and stop me, it's not going to do you any good. If I walk up and body lock you and trip you to the ground, and you're struggling around your waist to get that gun as I'm pounding you in the face, you ever had anybody do that to you before, guys? Have you? Have you ever had that happen where you've got a gun on your inside the waistband holster, positioned at, hell, I don't know, maybe you carry it at the 4 o'clock, maybe you're one of these dumbasses that carry it small in the back, so you'll snap your spine when I take you down. But you hit the ground, then I get on top of you and I start punching your face in? Tell me, how many times have you trained in that situation? Exactly, you haven't. So if you don't have those empty hand skills to defend yourself long enough to get free from a beast that is on top of you, intent on pounding you into a pulp until you lose consciousness, don't tell me how, oh, I carry a gun so I'm safe. That's not the case. That's not the case at all. Get fired up, man. These people that have this false sense of this insecure, this idea that their gun is all of a sudden their magic defense shield that keeps everybody away. No, it's nothing. It's nothing more than a tool that if you cannot employ it, you can't use it. In the same way, if you need to hammer a nail into the wall and you don't have a hammer, or you can't reach the hammer from wherever it's at, maybe it's in some giant box with a lock on it, and you can't get that box open, guess what? That hammer's no good to you. It doesn't matter if you have a hammer or not. The next one, physical conditioning. Oh my God, nobody wants to hear this. Nobody wants to hear physical conditioning, because that's no fun, is it? It's much more fun I've got a gun, why do I need to be in physical shape? Well, as I said before, don't talk about defeating a threat, some sort of violence. Don't talk about doing that if a flight of stairs can defeat you. So you need to have a certain level of physical conditioning. If anything, you owe it to your family and you owe it to your people. The first step to that is getting stronger. And people tell me, they say, well, man, I can't afford a gym, or I don't have any weights or anything. I'll tell you something. You drop down on your hands and your toes and you do some fucking push-ups. Push-ups. That's how I started out. When I first started getting in shape, because I was a fat kid growing up, when I started getting in shape, I couldn't even do 10 push-ups, man. And you know what I would do? I'd sit there on my knees and do push-ups like a woman. That's how I would do it. I know hey, listen, ladies. I know some of you women can do some push-ups, but I don't mean that in a derogatory term, because some of you women can outdo men. So, and for you men, that's pretty fucking pathetic. So you need to get stronger. You need to start finding some way to get yourself stronger. If you don't have any weights, do squats, do push-ups, set a goal for 50 push-ups. Once you get 50 push-ups, set a goal for 100 push-ups. Keep working your way up to that. But there's no doubt that being strong is a benefit. I can use a quote from a icon in the strength world, Mr. Mark Ripito. Strong people are harder to kill than weak people and more useful in general. And damn if that isn't true. There's this trend right now to have this sort of athletic fitness, and that is a good thing. I think that is a very wise thing. But some people just get caught up in the whole realm of cardio, and while cardio in the realm of physical conditioning, cardio is king in the long run. That is absolutely true. Cardio is king in the long run. However, you need to have a balance. If you have too much cardio, you're going to lose strength. If you have too much strength, you lose your cardio. I can relate to that because I used to be cardio centric, and I was average strength, I would say. I wasn't weak, but I was average strength. Then I went into powerlifting, and I had to drop off some of that cardio work, or I was losing my powerlifting gains, and my cardio suffered. So there's a certain balancing act that you have to have. You have to keep it in balance. If you do not, naturally you'll get out of balance, and something will suffer. A lot of people don't want to hear about, as it relates to cardio. People don't want to talk about cardio because cardio sucks. It absolutely sucks. I hate doing cardio. Nobody likes doing cardio. I've never met somebody that said, oh boy, it's cardio day. No, you don't meet those people. But cardio is absolutely important to do. You don't have to be a marathon runner. But I use the Walmart analogy again. If, let's say you're in Walmart and you're at one end of the store and a shooting breaks out and your family is at the other end of the store, how quickly can you get from one side of the store to the other? You're going to be in sprint mode. I don't care who you are. You're going to be in sprint mode. Maybe not the whole way, depending on your level of conditioning. You may run out of gas about halfway there, but you're going to be in sprint mode. You're like, well, look, if something breaks down, I'm going to get there, and that's true. What condition will you be in to fight when you do get there? Are you going to have a heart attack before you get there? What if you get there, you see the active shooter along the way, and you draw your firearm? Now you're, guess what? That front sight's going to be bouncy, 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 up and down. Are you going to be able to make that shot? So these things are important. Cardio is not just about this idea that you have to be some sort of sprinter and you got to be Usain Bolt or something like that. No, that's not the case. But cardio is going to make you more effective in the fight in the same way strength is going to make you effective in the fight. There's a lot of things you can do. If you want to do jogging is okay, but in reality, for a realistic situation, a lot of sprinting is going to be the thing. Sprinting 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. If you're hitting a punching bag, boom, fast punches, bang, 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 bang. You hit it for 20 seconds, rest for 40. 20 seconds, rest for 40, and just all out just as fast as you can. And you're going to see your conditioning go up. You're absolutely going to see it. I hate running, although I will say running is important. I hate running, so a lot of times I will supplement that with Muay Thai or some sort of boxing on the heavy bag, and that will help you. You can range that to get sprint type workouts with your boxing, as well as get your long-term jogging type workout, that sort of long-term cardio with a slow-paced box on the heavy bag. Your diet is also important. Your health. Yes, I know, man, I hate dieting right now. My wife's got me on a diet as we speak. But it's for my own good, and these are things that are important. That sort of, when I say health, it's not just diet. It's also injury prevention. Because if you train like an animal, and you're always getting hurt, what good are you to your people? What good are you to your family? If you blow out your arm, say you, you mess your elbow up or something. You mess your elbow up because you didn't have proper recovery. Well, what if a threat breaks loose and you got to get your firearm in the count? Can you draw with that arm in a sling? If you mess your knee up because you did something stupid and you didn't recover properly, you can work out too much. A lot of people don't like to hear, oh, that's weakness. No, it's not. It's intelligence. You do not want to break your body down. Get regular body maintenance. Find a good licensed massage therapist who can get in there and get that deep tissue work and get your body working at optimal levels. Find yourself a chiropractor. Keep your bones in line. All these things are greatly important. Too many people miss the whole body maintenance side of health. But that is vital. That is vital. Make sure you're getting enough vitamins. Make sure you're getting enough rest. Don't work yourself out into an early grave. I know, oh, well, sleep when I'm dead. Yeah, that's all great, man. That sounds really, really good on paper. It sounds phenomenal, and when everybody hears that, they go, ooh, and thump their chest, and they say, yes. No, when you're fucked up, it's not doing you any good, it's not doing your people any good, and if that fight comes to you the day after you fucked yourself up, what then? What good are you? Everything, all the training you've done, they always say that you may train for 30 years for 30 seconds of action. Well, what if that 30 seconds comes to you the day that you fucked yourself up because you did something stupid? Think about that. Number 4 is combative mindset. Combative mindset is also a very vital thing. And our video of the week, I'm going to talk about it later, but it's there's a video on combat mindset from Paul Howell that is so vital. All the guys that I roll with, I want them, if they're going to be part of my boys, they're going to be my tribe, I want them to view this video and let me know what they think, because it is required viewing. If you have not seen it, it's made by Panteo Productions, which I'm not a huge fan of them, but I'm a huge fan of Paul Howell, who's another great trainer. But combative mindset, the willingness to enter the fight, the willingness to kill. You can't imagine how many people you start talking about actually using something, using their weapon, using their fist, using their blade to kill. They're like, that kind of disturbs them a little bit. Well, you need to get that shit in line. As Paul Howell, I've heard him say, you need to have the will to kill with a ruthless efficiency, with business-like attention to detail. That is combat mindset. Having a thinking, you're solving problems. When people get stressed, whenever I get stressed and I start seeing my mind start to waver, I always get into that problem-solving mode. If you get into problem-solving mode, you don't have time to think about fear. You don't have time to think about what's going to happen. You're just reacting to things as they go, which that goes right with our last episode on the last war. You need to run these scenarios, different scenarios throughout your head. You need to think about things. When you're wherever you're at right now, look around and find somebody and say, what if that guy pulled out a gun right now and started shooting people? What would I do? If you run these scenarios, you start to pay attention to your surroundings more. You start noticing where the exits are. You start noticing where cover is. And before you know it, you're automatically doing these. These little changes to your mindset throughout the day start changing your environment. And you're not walking around in condition white like a lot of people are. All the questions you have about yourself. Could I pull the trigger? If there was an 8-year-old kid in a mall that pulled out a pistol and started shooting people randomly, could you shoot that kid? A lot of people, yeah, I could shoot him. Well, maybe you can. But have you thought about it? Have you thought about looking at him in his little 8-year-old face and putting a bullet right in his nose to stop him? Have you ever thought about that? If you haven't, you need to. What if you had a blade? What if you had a knife? And as he's reloading, could you run up and plunge it into his neck and rip his throat out? Could you do that? Think about that. If you haven't thought about it, you need to. These are types of scenarios that you need to run, because ISIS, especially ISIS, those motherfuckers do not care who they get to do their bidding. I've seen little teeny kids practicing cutting the heads off of teddy bear while they're yelling Admiral Akbar or whatever the fuck they yell. So you need to think about these things. Answer all these questions about yourself, about your mindset before it happens. The last one is embracing death. You need to embrace death if you're going to follow this idea of no more days off. You need to become death. You need to understand that you are going to die. Eventually. You may die then. You may die tomorrow. Who knows? You may die old age. You don't know that. But I guarantee you, there's a 100% chance that you are going to die. Once you start to recognize your own death, once you start to recognize that you are going to die, it's going to happen. There's a freedom that comes with that. Because then you start moving past this idea of just dying. You start thinking about the idea of a good death. An honorable death. When your time comes, are you willing to have that good death? Dying next to your brothers? Is it worth that? Is it worth it, or are you just going to sit there and cry and beg and plead and say, please, please don't kill me. No, I'm going to hide here. Or are you going to charge right into gunfire and take this asshole who's decided to kill a bunch of innocent people? Are you going to do that? Are you willing to have a good death? I spoke this quote at my father's funeral, and I'll read it to you here. It's from Chief Tecumseh himself. It's one of my favorite quotes. I have a t-shirt with this on it. It says, this is the quote: "So live your life that the fear of death can never enter your heart. Trouble no one about their religion. Respect others in their view, and demand that they respect yours. Love your life. Perfect your life. Beautify all things in your life. Seek to make your life long, and its purpose in the service of your people. Prepare a noble death song for the day when you go over the great divide. Always give a word or a sign of salute when meeting a passing friend, even a stranger when in a lonely place. Show respect to all people and bow to none. When you arise in the morning, give thanks for the food and for the joy of living. If you see no reason for giving thanks, the fault lies only in yourself. Abuse no one and nothing, for abuse turns the wise ones to fools and robs the spirit of its vision. When it comes your time to die, be not like those whose hearts are filled with fear of death, so that when their time comes they weep and pray for a little more time to live their lives over again in a different way. Sing your death song and die like a hero going home." God damn it, that is powerful. If you didn't get, I got chill bumps right now. If you don't get fired up from that, you're already dead inside. You're not going to cry. You're not going to beg. You're not going to plead. You're going to look death in the eye and you're going to say, "You know what? I'm sending you some clients, or motherfucker, I'm coming to see you." Plain and simple. As Musashi said, another quote from Musashi: "You may abandon your body, but you must preserve your honor." And a good death. Most of us are not granted a good death in life. Most just die weeping in their beds and hoping for some sort of salvation on the other side. But a good death, an honorable death, is one of the most powerful things we can ask for in this life. So, as I talked about, our video of the week is the combat mindset from Paul Howe. I'm just going to post a trailer to it. The trailer should get you fired up good enough. But I highly urge everyone to view this video. If you ever meet me, shit, I'll give you a copy of it. I mean, it is just a phenomenal video that really asks you to confront yourself and confront different aspects of your mindset that many people haven't really thought about. They haven't thought about these things. And Paul Howe is a reputable instructor. He was actually, I hope I don't mess this up, Paul Howe was involved with the Black Hawk Down incident that happened over there in I believe it was Somalia or Mogadishu, in that area. Paul Howe was involved with the Black Hawk Down. He was one of the special ops that went into the area to actually try and get some sort of order over things and get their boys out of there. So Paul Howe was one of those guys. So he is a respectable guy who everyone should know about, and he does run firearms schools, and he has plenty of training programs, and I highly, highly would recommend Paul Howe. So this is going to be our last call. All you guys are still here fired up. All you guys that are listening, that have that spark of violence getting riled up inside of them, who've decided they're going to live their lives in no more days. This last call's for you. My friends, there's no more days off. Not ever again. As soon as you take a day off, that's when they get you. So that's why I've been posting this concept of hashtag no more days off. It comes in many forms. Terrorists, they're attacking. We have ISIS has sleeper cells all over the place. The borders are wide open. People coming in and out. A lot of times it's criminals coming in and out. I know people might get offended by that, but it doesn't matter. You can talk to some of the Border Patrol guys down there and they'll tell you that. It's not Mexico's fault. Hell, they don't want them there either. So, she's got issues with terrorists, criminals, every single day. Even if you never get attacked by an ISIS or a Muslim extreme, that's anybody like that. Even if you don't get attacked by these people. No sip of Mitacon. Check Mitacon out on Facebook. Even if you don't ever run into these people, criminals are everywhere. Look around you. Look at the signs around you. Look for those gangland taggings on the sides of buildings when you start entering those areas that are controlled. You see, those gangs, they used to be very, very isolated, but now they're starting to spread out. They're not stupid. What do you think is going to happen when the day that these professional criminals walk up on your amateur ass? Are you going to train to be a pro? Are you going to train? That's the difference. As they used to say, one of my favorite movies, Man on Fire, there's only trained and untrained. That's it. Trained or untrained, which one are you? Are you trained or are you untrained? Because if you're untrained, that's your fault. You've volunteered. You volunteered to be an untrained amateur, and you're being attacked by trained killers, in whatever form they may come in. We saw the recent incident out there in Sacramento where the supposed white nationalists, which they weren't white nationalists, the lovely mainstream media, where you had these Antifa, the anti-fascists, who act like fascists. That's odd. You had these guys attacking, and the Antifa attacked these I think they were like a workers' party or something. These Antifa attacked them, and they were bashing guys' heads in with flagpoles and all that stuff like that. And guess what happened? Natural law is tooth and claw, and a lot of these guys got stabbed. A lot of these Antifa got stabbed. Hey, that's what happens. You ask for violence, you're going to get it. Because there's coming a point where things are building up. I've talked about this before. Right now, this country is a hive. It's like a hive, and that hive is vibrating with bees. Zzz, zzz. They're all vibrating, and they're starting to get riled up. They're getting riled up, and yes, they're trying to blow a little smoke in there to calm us down, but no. The buzzing's happened. It's buzzing from all sides. Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, the tribal communities. Everybody's starting to buzz right now. And what's going to happen is all it's going to take is just one little touch, one little shake, one little disturbance in that hive, and then the bees are going to start flying everywhere, and they're going to start stinging people. That's where we're at. That's where we're at right now. The common phrase that we hear of winter is coming. Yes, the hive is buzzing, my friends. It's buzzing, and it is absolutely primed for something to happen. Whether it be ISIS terrorists, whether it be criminals, whether it be Antifa, whether it be your average people who are having a hard time. What if this economy is starting to fall? What if that happens? What then? You think these people are going to spare you? No, they're not going to spare you when they're starving. There's no more days off allowed. There's no reason for you to not be training. There's no reason for you to not look up information on how to train. This is the information age. There's instructional material out there, even though that does not qualify as personal instruction, one-on-one instruction. It's better than nothing. It at least introduces you to the information. There's firearm classes available. Buy a gun. Remember, how much is your life worth? So if you spend $100 on a gun, you're going to get $100 worth of protection. Buy something that's reliable. Don't buy something because it's pretty. Buy something because it's functional. Buy a fighting blade. Learn how to use it. Train your hands. Train your body. Get skilled. Maintain your health. All of these things create this concept of hashtag no more days off. So I'm going to end this show with the quote that is on the back of the t-shirt that we're offering through the Barbarian Lounge. The Miyamoto Musashi shirt on victory. And this is Musashi's quote on victory. I'm going to read it to you here. It says, "Today is victory over yourself of yesterday. Tomorrow is victory over lesser men." Thank you guys for joining us. This is a good talk. Remember, whenever you see these things going down, hashtag it. Hashtag no more days off. And when you share this podcast, hashtag no more days off. Because we're not taking any more days off. No, we're not taking any more days off for being unprepared for things that are coming at us. Look at here, I'm getting riled up again. I can't even end this show. I'm getting so riled up. I'm gonna calm down. No more days off, my friends. No more days off. And with that statement right there, my friends, the lounge is closed.